you know that I'm loving you? In a Gala Vida, baby. Don't you know that I'll always be true? Oh, won't you come with me and take my hand? Oh, won't you come with me and walk this line? Please take my
Oh my gosh. And we're off, I think. Are we off? Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? And we're off.
Jesse, I didn't tune into your show for 2 weeks and felt kind of lost. Nice to be tuning in again today.
I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
You made it sound like a Negro spiritual.
And it's not.
No, it's not a Negro spiritual. It's a hymn.
Him who?
It's Hymn, I think.
But how did that sound like a Negro spiritual then?
Because you sang it all Negro-ly.
Like how? Like Negro Lee. How?
You sang it like you're saying swing low, sweet chariot or something like that.
Let me hear how it sounds.
No.
Why not?
I refuse.
Why?
I'm not your monkey performer minstrel.
You're just jealous of the Negro singing.
No, I like the Negro spiritual, but you made it sound like it was a Negro spiritual, and then I almost asked you if you were celebrating Black History Month singing that song.
What's
but
that?
then I'm like, wait, this was written by a white man, I think. Amazing Grace?
Let me hear how it sounds in a white voice.
No.
Why not?
Because I don't do stuff on performance on request. I don't do requests.
You're not like a monkey?
Right.
Okay. Thank you. I'm glad you're back.
Nice.
Are you a loner?
I think so.
Really? And why do you think what is a loner to you?
Well, I mean, I really more to just like enjoying my alone time. But you were saying it's like someone that no one likes you, your friends and family don't like you.
My family don't like me. My mama don't like you. And she likes everyone. And so are you a loner?
I think so, yeah.
Have you always been a loner?
Yeah.
And what is a loner?
I grew up kind of like that, but it changed over time because growing up, it was different than it is now. And growing up, what I saw as a loner was, I don't know, I just didn't make, I didn't get along. It's not that I didn't get along with people, but I didn't like, I wasn't outgoing or reached out. I kept to myself, and I think it was because of a number of things. One is we moved around a lot. So you know, I was always in a new situation. It was almost like every year in a new school situation, and it was, if I reflect, it was fear. It was just a new situation, and I was also mad that we were moving around.
You're mad that you were moving around so much?
Yeah, so I always felt like the outsider. I always felt like, I always felt like an outsider, like, and like people, like I didn't fit in, and I actually remember one time in a new school, a new situation that happened again, and I was just alone at recess. And I remember this teacher trying to force other kids to be my friend. And she was like, go play with him, like be his friend. And that made me way more mad. Like,
Oh, it did?
yeah, because I was like, stop forcing me. I'd rather be alone instead of being forced to be friends with someone.
And when were you in the military or something? That's why you moved so much?
No, we were just immigrants.
You were immigrants?
Yeah.
Y'all were on the run?
Pretty much. No, I'm
Running
exaggerating.
from the police.
In America for a couple of years, moving around a lot in Florida and all that. But then also, sometime in my childhood, pretty young, like 9, 10 years old, we went up to Canada. And then that was a whole mess because I was in Boston for a little bit in this like house called Viva la Casa, which was where you stayed there while you get your papers all set up before you go to Canada. And so I was in some weird school there, and it was all these like bad kids. And then we went up to Canada, and then I was like in a bunch of different cities like year after year because we were moving around a lot, and it was a different school every time.
And so as an adult, are you a loner?
I still kind of consider myself a loner.
Oh, yeah?
But not in the like.
You don't seem to be a loner. You seem to be like friendly with everybody.
So I don't see.
Talkative and everything. But you are a loner?
I think so, and what you're saying is interesting because I've mentioned this before, and people don't agree or don't believe me. Like how
That you're a loner?
right?
Oh.
But I still kind of see myself in the same way, but not so much in the fearful way growing up, but just in the sense that I just love my alone time. I'm fine with or without people.
Oh.
And I really enjoy just my favorite thing in the world, doing nothing by myself.
And as a loner, Hassan, did you cry a lot? And do you cry a lot?
Did I cry a lot? No.
Did you cry sometime because you were a loner?
No, actually, Nick just sparked something.
Let me try Elizabeth out of California. Elizabeth, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hi.
Hey, Elizabeth.
Somebody stole our duck from the farm last night.
Nice.
Yesterday. And now my heart, like I didn't sleep at all. And then now that's triggering everything you're talking about today. Like I have 11 animals and a horse. And I really believe, since I've been listening to you about this, that they really just like me because I feed them. I get that. But why do they lure me in? And now I'm devastated about a little duck that was really special, actually.
Why did who lure you in?
The animals lure me in. I capture, I feed all the
But the
birds,
animals did
pigeons.
not lure you in. You were doing that because you're in an animal state.
How do you break it?
Animal nature, and you think that they're luring you in. Is you doing it to yourself because you're into your thoughts and emotions. Amazing. Let me go to Orlando, a first-time caller out of Rochester, New York. Let's see here. Orlando, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I just wanted to comment on that from your previous shows where you mentioned that the woman should submit to the man. I agree. I agree 100% with you. But on the other side of the coin, there's been times when God has used a woman where there was no choice for a man to step up to the plate. Like, for instance, in the time of Esther. Esther intervened, and she walked in on the king with all the king's men, knowing that she could be beheaded just for coming through the door. And she still went in and she intervened for all the Hebrews, and also...
Was her husband there?
Yes, her husband was the king.
So her husband was leading her to do that?
No, her husband did not lead her to do
He
that.
influenced her to do it?
It was God.
Did
it
her
was
husband-
God that led her to do that.
Did her husband influence her to do it?
Which God overrode
Orlando.
her husband.
Orlando, did her husband influence her to do it?
Hello?
Did her husband influence her to do that?
No, her husband did not influence her to do that.
And your point about that
he
is
walked
what?
in,
What's your point about
God
it?
intervened. God influenced her.
What's
to
your
do
point
that.
about it?
My point is that sometimes God overrides the man's authority. Does God have authority over the husband?
Does God have
Yes,
authority?
he does.
Yeah, God has authority over the husband, and the husband has
Yes,
authority
so
over the man.
Sometimes
The
God
husband has authority
overrides
over
the
all.
authority of the husband
Orlando,
and gives the woman
Orlando,
a task to perform. Yes, sir.
Orlando. The man has authority over all women.
Yes, but sometimes God intervenes and makes exceptions.
I'm not
And
sure if that story
you
is
can't reject the fact that God used the love of a mother as an example of His love towards all of us.
No, not
didn't
at
use
all.
the love
Not
of
at
a
all.
man,
Not at all,
so there
Orlando.
must be-
Not at all. Mothers don't have love.
Well, a good God-fearing woman does.
You have never met one.
Well, then you're around the wrong people. Maybe you
No,
should
I
ask
said
God.
you have never
to
met
bring
a
you.
good God-fearing woman in your whole life.
Well, I have met women
You've never
that
met a
have
so-called.
walked with the Holy Spirit,
No, you haven't. You've
And-
never met that.
and when she comes into the room, you could feel the presence of God walking right along with
No,
her.
that's the presence
and
of
would
the
even
devil.
make you submit.
Orlando.
Not because of the woman, but because of the Holy Spirit that
No, that's all
that
made up.
accompanies
That's
her.
not true.
Oh, well, you haven't run across it.
And you
I
haven't
pray
either. You
that
haven't either.
God would
Orlando.
have you come across it.
Orlando, you haven't either. You never ran across that. It's been all fake.
All right. Well, I pray that God will reveal it to you where you would pass through the same exact experience.
All right.
So
Thank
then
you.
you would know for a
Orlando,
fact.
would you
without
ever let a
shadow of
woman
doubt.
rule? Would you ever let a woman rule over you?
No.
Why
No,
not?
I would not let a woman rule over.
Why not?
But
Why not?
but
Why not?
because I agree with you. I agree with what the Bible says.
Are
that
you
the
black
woman
or
is supposed
Hispanic?
to be a helper. What does that have to do with it?
I want to. It'll help me understand your thinking. Are you black or Hispanic or both?
I would address myself as the Bible addresses myself.
No, not as a
I am a
word.
Gentile.
So
You're either a Jew or a Gentile,
amazing.
and that's the only thing that the Bible describes me as.
Right on.
We're all the son of Adam.
Nice.
So this, that you're white, that you're black, that you're this, that you're that, Hispanic, Chinese, this and that, that's all things that man comes up
I
with.
bet you would never
to
marry.
create the vision.
Hey, Gentile, I bet you would never marry a black woman.
Oh, that's not true.
No, you would
That's
never
not
marry a
true.
black woman. You ain't that crazy.
Let me tell you, I am crazy because I would go from a salsa, a Spanish club, walk across the street to the all-black club and dance with 4 or 5 black women. And when I was 15-year-old, my girlfriend was a 30-year-old black woman with 4 kids.
Whoa.
All right?
See, I told you, I bet you
don't
never
tell
would
me
marry.
that I would not date
You would
or
never
marry a
marry.
black woman.
You would never marry a black woman.
That's not true.
Well, why have you done
Because
it? Why have you done
I
it?
wouldn't marry a woman. I would not use the color of a woman's skin to decide whether I would marry that
So then,
woman.
why did you walk across the street to a black club and dance with a black woman with children?
No. It's 2 different events.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Orlando, I gotta
could go
run,
to
buddy.
the black club across the street and dance, and I would not have any problem with anybody.
I bet
As a
you
matter
would-
of fact,
I bet you
I would
wouldn't
have
marry
free
one.
drinks at the bar at the black club where I wouldn't get in the Spanish club.
I bet you wouldn't marry one though.
Oh, that's not necessarily true. If I find one like Candace Owens,
Oh
let me
my
tell you,
Lord! You couldn't.
I would run to the altar.
Amazing.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. Thank you, Orlando. Jason is a first-time call out of Sweet Home, Alabama. Let me know that. Jason, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm calling you from Alabama, from Enterprise, Alabama, the biggest Army aviation headquarters in the world. And I just wanted to say how much I love you and I love your show, sir.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to let everybody know that we are the sweetest state in the country because we still have a little bit of the Bible holding strong down here. And I just wanted to let you know you're right about everything about the women, because Eve did take the fruit from the forbidden tree, and she did partake of it, and she did lead Adam to deceive Adam in also taking the apple, and or not the apple, but the fruit. And I just wanted to say that the guy that was on there saying about Jacob and Ishmael earlier, that God said that he loved Jacob in the womb, but he hated Ishmael, and that was because it was the starting of the Muslims and all, and starting of the very bad evil of the curse, and the starting of the first pagan religion and all, and I just wanted to say how much I respect you and everything you do out there and everything you try to do and still represent the good Lord, and everybody should know that they should go to Psalms 46:10 and be still and know that God is God, and
that's for sure.
And meditate in the prayer.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, thank you so much, man, down in Sweet Home, Alabama. I appreciate it, buddy. Call me again, all right?
I sure will. Thank you, Jesse.
All right, buddy. God bless you.
That's what life is. Life is about choices, right? And so I'm somebody who, I know the power of making decisions and owning your decisions. And that your life is basically where your life is going to go in America is based on how much responsibility you take on yourself. And this stuff that it continuously promotes self-victimization. And what happens to people who continuously victimize themselves, they never achieve anything. They stay miserable and they look for someone else to blame. And you can get in a cycle of doing this. Your whole life will go by and you'll never do anything. Yep. Right? I call them barstool astronauts. Right? They're like, because that's what they do. I could have been a salesman. It's a tough job. It's like coffee is for closers. And it's beyond race, right? Because how is it that I was able to come from where I came, sell millions of records, play on arenas, make friends all over the world, have people love me, little kids singing my songs, and I take care of my mother. I financially take care of my whole family, right? And so I don't want to lose that. And I don't like this messaging for African Americans. I don't like it for any Americans because it's a lie. It's fundamentally teaching white people are bad and African American people and minorities can never make it in this country because of white people. No, that's not true.
Yeah.
Look at every basketball player. Look at every rapper. Rap is the biggest, most popular selling music.
Around on the halftime show.
The Army has rappers now.
Big show. Everybody's watching the most expensive commercials, and it's Rihanna.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Look, I get it. This country, things used to be very racist.
Yeah.
And the 50s weren't that long ago. A lot of people alive today lived through that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you have other countries which are still extremely racist because that's the world. But hey, man, the U.S. is one of the least racist places on the planet. If not, it is the least racist.
It is.
Well, it's the most
now that the woke people come in.
It's the most tolerant, right? It's like I've seen people, when Israel and Palestine started firing at each other, and I'm not even going to get into my stance on that. But what I saw online was they were like LGBTQ for free Palestine, and I was like, please, if you go there, you'll die.
Yeah.
Do you know,
you'll
like,
die.
they might kill you. You can't go there, right?
I met a guy who said that Donald Trump is the least racist president this country has ever had.
Yeah.
And I thought that was funny. And I was like, even Obama? And he was like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, it's kind of weird because Obama is, half black. But he explained like U.S. policy and how things are changing and how you end up with Trump. And he says like, no, I think Trump's racist, but like the least we've ever had. And he was basically explaining like, yo, he's like, we had presidents who owned slaves, man. Come on, it's not a high bar. Like, it's easy for Trump to be the least racist president, and this is a guy who didn't like Trump. But the point is, yeah, we're making things better all the time. This is the opposite of that. Yeah. The white fragility stuff is racial tension. Yeah. The hands up, don't shoot stuff, the Black Lives Matter stuff is all making things worse. Yes. And I think they want that. Well, I think Democrats and leftists want it because it allows them to sow chaos.
Well, BLM has also been hijacked, right? Like I was on a podcast last year on Andy Frisella's show with Hawk Newsom, who him and his sister started the BLM in New York. And it was originally to address the issue of police brutality against black men. He's not allowed in the organization. He's not allowed. No black men are allowed to hold position within the BLM corporation unless you're a trans man.
The people that are
you're not allowed to say this because they'll come for you.
The people that are most affected by violence from police, which is what BLM was started to address, the people that are most affected by it are young black men. I mean,
who are not allowed to have a job in the corporation.
Yeah, Well, I mean, it's all hijacked by leftists. The whole project, the entirety of the project, is about leftism and not helping the most vulnerable people, or the group of people that need the help from Black Lives Matter the most. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is totally and completely ideological and has nothing to do with trying to help young black men who are the most victimized group when it comes to police brutality.
Do you think there's any way to turn Black Lives Matter around? Do you think you could ever bring it back to being an organization?
That's like making McDonald's not about burgers.
But we have to ask the question, right?
I just think there needs to be...
I think they're trying to do that, actually.
McDonald's sells salads. I mean...
I think the issue...
chicken and fish.
I think that... No, McDonald's will never be healthy.
So will Black Lives Matter be effective?
Tommy comes in with the voice of reason.
True to its original founding, I guess I should say.
I don't think that... look, I think that the leftists, right? And this is all Republicans need to hear this and understand this, because this is where Republicans fail. They fail at culture. What the leftists are great at, their branding manipulation is impeccable. Yeah, so they understand the key is to taking an unattackable position and then using it as a cloak for communism or socialism or authoritarianism, right? Because everything's under the banner of tolerance of these like feigning false positive things, right? You know,
and you can't call us bad guys. We just said we're not anti-bad guys.
We Black Lives Matter. Yeah, obviously. Right. The sky is blue. Like, okay,
truism.
Water is wet. Right. Yes,
but if you're against us, you're against.
We all agree. Yeah, but then but that's the thing too. People say, "Oh, you can't be racist if you're black." I'm like, well, as someone who is black, who went against an organization, I've never been called the N-word so much in my life by other black people who are mad that I pointed out that the money that was being raised was not going.
It's not the friend kind of N-word.
Let me tell you, I have
caught a couple of hard arse in the homies.
I have not seen people at a conservative rally shout the N-word at anybody, but I have seen on numerous occasions white anti-fascists, Antifa,
screaming at black police officers.
No, and people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the story I often tell in Portland where there was a black Proud Boy and they were all screaming the N-word at him. I was just like, holy! I can't believe right now I'm standing in Portland and all these white people are yelling the N-word at this guy.
Yeah, there's only 3 black people in the whole city.
It's crazy.
You know, when I went there, they all were like, "Hey, just so you know, we're the only 3." I'm like, cool, thanks, bro.
You're number 4. You know,
I was just passing through.
It was nuts, man.
They got one of them. They got 1/3 of them.
But this is what I see. I saw this in Sweden too. Bunch of white people, majority, claim that they're not racist, and then they do things to prove they're not racist while enacting policy that is extremely racist, or pushing policies or other things that are racist.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about what is that an example of? Is that to deal with the Syrian refugees?
So Sweden's got multiple problems. They've got Somalian refugees from the 90s, and they've got Afghanistani refugees. And so...
And Syrians now as well.
I don't think Syrians was that as much.
I was there in November. There's some stuff.
There's Syrians. When I was there a few years
Germany
ago,
too, yeah.
it is a lot of people from Afghanistan. And the problems that people refer to in Sweden are the children of the Somali refugees from the 90s. So what the Swedes did was they were like, we're not racist. We're going to bring all these people in, and then shoved them all into ghettos.
Yeah, didn't integrate them at all.
Which created huge...
France did the same thing.
Right. It just creates...
So did Belgium.
Because they're like, we're not racist, but you can't live near me, and you push them all out.
Yeah, but that's the not in my backyard thing.
NIMBYs, yeah.
There's multiple issues with that stuff too. It's like there are certain countries that they move to a place and then they don't acclimate, right? And then they start gangs and there's criminality and rape and all this other stuff that these countries are like they don't even know how to deal with it. So that's a whole other issue in and of itself. It could be Chinese.
We just got breaking news earlier that China is flying warplanes into Taiwanese airspace. So like the over-under on this is they do this. It's not like a new thing. It's they're just pushing and pushing and pushing. It could be that China is increasing their surveillance tech and capabilities because they're getting ready for a full-scale military conflict. So it's like we've not seen these weird vessels, these UFOs before. They're deploying them now, basically as you ever play Warcraft? What you ever play Warcraft? What was it, the Eye of Kilrog? Was that what it was? You guys in the chat can help me out with this one. So it's you know what it is, the game. You build a little base and then the other base. You can send a floating eye to go look around and see what your enemy's doing before you attack. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Simple a recce. They're sending out the gear. We don't know what it is. Spying on us, stealing our data and information, maybe even injecting viruses into our facilities. Because then, you know what I think's going to happen? I got to be honest. If war breaks out, everyone expects, nuclear missiles to like launch out of the ground and fly through the air. I bet what happens is as soon as a country declares war, every other country hits the go button on their viruses they've installed in all the deep infrastructure for all the other countries. Everyone's power just goes out instantly. Something like that. Factories all shut down. Nuclear plants blow up.
Well, I mean, if
Jesus, that's so positive though.
I mean, it's actually
that's probably what's going to happen.
It's better than nuclear fire, I imagine.
Well, so do you know about Stuxnet?
No.
U.S. and Israel worked on a cyber weapon that basically infected every computer, hoping that it would eventually make its way to Iranian nuclear centrifuges and cause them to spin out of control and blow up. So if we know that happened, I'm willing to bet China's got viruses in U.S. systems we don't know about. We got viruses in their systems, Russia, etc.
It's TikTok.
It's that Spider-Man meme.
Every TikTok account is going to spread to every computer, and then your phone's going to kill you.
Look,
hello?
Anybody that has a Cisco router,
they might be able to blow your phone up remotely.
Yeah,
possibly.
Cause like an energy drain or something, cause it to overheat. Who knows?
I don't know. Well, I hope not.
Those lithium-ion batteries, man, they get exposed to oxygen, they go up.
Yeah.
That's why. Remember when all those phones were blown up?
And like
The Galaxy
suitcases
Note?
with charging things, they banned them from planes.
Yeah.
Because of that, yeah.
Yeah, because those lithium-ion batteries, man, it's expose that to air, rapid oxidization, and
I never understood what you did. Like if you had the Samsung phone, you weren't allowed to take on plane. If you get to your gate, you just like turn it over and they mail it to you?
I don't know. There was somebody who named their iPhone Wi-Fi Galaxy Note 5 or whatever, and then turned it on. I guess it's a joke. Then when people saw the Wi-Fi with the name, they shut the plane down and they're like, nope, we're not flying until we get this plane off. Or we get that phone off the plane. Crazy, right? It's a crazy world we live in.
It's such a great joke. I love it.
No, I think, war, maybe?
I
what
think
kind of war, Tim?
A world war?
I think that if China is likely to make a move, I think that now is a time where they would be likely to do it because the U.S. is not in a position. Like China has said to the U.S. the first time that Blinken met with his Chinese whatever the equivalent.
Real quick, this is breaking news. In the past about 15 minutes, there's an active shooter at MSU near Berkeley Hall, Michigan State University. Police have asked students to secure in place immediately following shots being fired. Police are active on the scene. So if that affects any of you, just wanted to make sure I noted that because we're getting people in the chat mentioning. Anyway, sorry to interrupt, man. I thought that was be important if anybody was nearby and needed to hear that.
Well, that is important. If you're at the, I'm looking at it now,
Michigan
State University.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
Get
But you don't have. If you're there, World War III is not your immediate concern.
Yeah.
For the rest of us, the toxic chemical spill comes first.
Yeah.
And then wokeness. I guess, because that's the order we told these stories in.
And then World War III.
The situation with China is fairly ongoing. The tensions have been high over Taiwan for a while now. So
yeah, but I don't know. Maybe this is it. Yeah. Maybe like they know that we're trapped in Ukraine, and if they're gonna move, they got to move now.
Like I said earlier, they had told Blinken that the U.S. is not. They do not believe the U.S. is negotiating from a position of strength, and this is the way that China behaves when they don't believe that the U.S. is in a position of strength. They are going to push, they're going to prod, and they're going to see if it makes sense for them to take Taiwan because they intend to take Taiwan back. This is not an option to them. It's just a matter of when. So,
yeah.
I think China is such an interesting adversary. I wrote the story today about how the U.S. Issued a don't travel, and if you're in Russia, come home immediately alert, but also said we can't guarantee that we're able to offer you transport home. So figure it out immediately and also get back. But the Kremlin's response was like, they've issued these alerts before. I mean, the U.S. says this kind of thing. I can't imagine what the conversation China is having with its own people about the way we react to the balloons. Like we didn't shoot one down. I can't imagine that China would not have taken this kind of action if someone else floated a balloon across their country. It seems like, I think we were on with Jack Posobiec, who said they're doing this to see how we react. And I personally, and I think the senators from Montana agree with me, I think we reacted too slowly. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but one of the federal officials from Montana said, we took care of the balloon a continent too late. We knew about it before it reached U.S. airspace. We saw it coming and we didn't do anything. And that's a pretty powerful message, not only to send to your people, but to your adversaries, right? We couldn't get it together.
This is funny. Vice has an article that says the conspiracy verse thinks fake UFOs are a distraction from a disastrous train derailment. Accidental environmental activism from a surprising source. It just goes to show that these people really do not understand anything about the people they insult and smear every day. Like the government lied about the quality of air on 9/11. They're probably lying now about what's going on in Ohio. Like, but you're a conspiracy theorist. You shouldn't care about the environment. It's like, okay, you're lost in the cult. Yeah, you live in a weird world, man.
I know tons of very intense conservatives who really believe in protecting the environment. Right? It's our big, great research. I think the left has this idea.
Think everyone who lives on the planet should care about the environment when it comes to like oil spills and nuclear explosions,
chemical,
or China's massive plastic fucking island in the ocean from their fishing nets.
You're right, but in addition to that, like to Hannah's point, hunters and outdoorsmen tend to be conservative, and those people and hunting organizations, NRA and stuff like that, they do a lot of work to keep natural resources in conditions so that way, hunters can go out and hunt still. The preservation of natural resources is something that is extremely close to, naturalists and hunters and sportsmen and stuff like that. Fishermen, and they do a lot of really good work, not just, chaining themselves to trees or trying to get in the way of developing land.
Hunting and fishing your own food is probably the most green thing you can do to deer meat from cows.
Yeah.
Because it's better for you, and the animals live in the wild, and they're not stressed out.
They believe. I think so many people believe in the stereotypes that definitely left-leaning culture has created. Right. Yeah. If you're a hunter, especially if you hunt for your own food, you need to have a relationship with the land. You can't overhunt, and all you hear is, "But we hunted the buffalo to almost extinction." Buffalo population.
We didn't hunt the buffalo to almost extinction.
It's
the
not
Europeans
true.
who were fighting. That was a war tactic that the Europeans who were fighting with the Native Americans killed their food source in order to starve them out.
But what they're saying is these people who are just so out of control, they just like killing things for fun. Like it's a complete misrepresentation of what having a relationship with the land, especially if it's to feed your family, is like. I think they believe these stereotypes and can't consider that other people also believe in protecting the earth.
Yeah.
Well, because everything they consume is created by the companies that produce the products that they're shoving down their throats. Mm-hmm. So the faulty ideological nonsense that they have consumed and believe in is beneficial to the corporations that are manufacturing not food, but food-like products that also give you cancer, that also make you sick, and that also will turn you from, and like it's the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. The food and drug companies love each other because the food makes you sick, and the drug companies make fake shit to make you live long enough, but still extract your money.
Big gimmick.
Everything sucks. Everyone sucks. The other
Wait
new
till
thing
they
is
deep fake it, bro.
Well, dude, we were talking about fitness, and like what's going on now is like there's the new terrorists at the gym are girls on TikTok, and they wear these scantily clad outfits. And dude, the whole industry, everybody in fitness is just like, oh god, these people suck. Yep. And they stand in front of dudes with the camera angle pointing at other people working out so they could say, and then make videos like, oh my God, this guy's looking at me like, oh, I can't believe I can't even go to the gym. And so one girl had a viral video of this, and everyone's like, oh my God, like, oh, so I can't believe this. And then she got doxxed by Joey Swole.
Oh,
and
wow.
She had an OnlyFans. She's like,
Oh, did she?
Oh
she did. I remember
She's
that.
like on OnlyFans, completely like spread eagle,
But on what platform she gets likes because she's a victim, right? Because men are inappropriate, whatever else. And the other one,
but this is the problem with
opposite.
this is the issue with third wave feminism, right? It creates this this kind of, I don't know what it's called, this hypocrisy cloud where the simultaneous, I always say this, there are no sex workers who can be feminists, because if you're a female sex worker, your entire life is financed and paid for by men objectifying you. So how can you say we have to stop men objectifying women and yet profit from it? You're the same as Al Sharpton selling poverty and the black experience in black America to black people. You can never make it. Give me some money.
But
I'm going to fight for you.
There's sex positive feminism and sex negative feminism. And the sex positive argument is women can choose to do whatever they want. It is a man arresting a woman because she chose to do a thing is anti-feminist. But then you have sex negative feminists who are like, women being objectified proves that the patriarchy, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, pick which one you think is the real feminist, and then,
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, okay, then just have a world without men and see how long sex work lasts. See how much money you're going to get out of the lesbian community. They're not giving it up.
I have never heard of a lesbian picking up a sex worker in my life. There's no way you can't say you're. I've never heard of one.
Yeah, no. There are lesbians who are sex workers who take men's money too.
No, I'm saying
they don't care.
Patronizing sex workers. Like, I've never heard of it. I think what the strange thing about third wave feminism is that they just want to stay in sort of victim mentality, right? Like, it's not empowering at all. I don't understand what we're doing at this point.
It's financially empowering. That's all. That's what happens.
I don't think it is. I feel like more women went to college, so more women have student loan debt, so more women join the workforce. For what? Like, none of their arguments panned out. I don't think that third wave feminism generated a better cash flow for women. I don't think it improved their lives the way they claim they did. It is like a complete bad bill of goods.
Well, I just think that it's two separate things. That I don't see intersecting. Like, that's what I don't see. I don't understand how, it's like if I went out, it's like if I said I hate white people and I don't want white people to buy my records, and then white people stop buying my records, I was like, man, I can't believe you guys are so racist. You don't support me anymore. It's like, what are you talking about? You literally just told everybody who supported you that you hate them and not to support you. Yeah. Like, well, I didn't mean stop giving me their money. Like, it's, but that's the ridiculousness of that, of this, of going in and trying to exploit on one platform. You're trying to exploit your actual base.
But the
Right?
thing is, like, so when you're talking about like old school feminism, like second wave feminism,
No, that's
Camille
different.
Paglia, like they wanted the responsibility. They were saying, we
Mm-hmm.
know the danger, we know the ramifications of saying that we want to go out without a chaperone and we want to be treated like men and we want the same. They understood what they were asking for. Nowadays, third or fourth wave feminism is the manipulation tactic that we were talking about earlier. It's using this perceived the argument that women are somehow in need of protection, and it's the absolute opposite argument of the previous generation of feminists. It's I want to be protected at all times, and I want the world to be made flat for me at all times, which is the exact opposite of second wave feminism.
Well,
that we're saying we want the danger of the world because we have agency.
Yeah.
Modern feminism completely and totally takes the agency away from women. They're victims, they're objects, they're all these things, except for an empowered woman who is completely capable of taking on the responsibilities of the and dangers of the existing world.
Today. That's not good. Wow. What's up, beautiful? Have a good day. Hey, what's up, girl? How you doing? Somebody's acknowledging you for being beautiful. She said thank you. Oh, bless you. Hey, baby. Hey, beautiful. How are you this morning?
Have a nice evening.
Nice. Hey. Damn!
I'm beautiful. God bless. You sexy, American Eagle. Hello, good morning. God bless you. Have a good day, all right?